Okay, so today we are going to be doing question number 1 on our Math 21B Exam 2 Review Worksheet, and we're going to be working with one sample, confidence interval. And the way we find this is on our chart. We're going to look at one sample and we're going to go to confidence interval. Okay, so we're going to read the question. It says, the following data represents a random sample of the average price of textbooks sold at several community college bookstore. Construct and interpret a 99% confidence interval for the population mean price of textbooks sold. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to put all these numbers into our calculator. And how we do that is we go to Stat, we hit Edit, and we're going to type in all of our numbers, which I have already done. And we're going to hit Stat, Calc, and we want to make sure this one always says L1 to get our list calculated. Okay, and then we get our data. So letter A, it says, what is the mean price of textbooks? So our mean, we're going to look, it's going to be 54,875. Then letter B is going to say, what is the standard deviation of the sample, which is S. We're going to look over here, and we're going to round up 28.693. Okay, then letter C, what are the degrees of freedom? Which in our formula sheet, degrees of freedom equals n minus 1. And this is going to be 8 minus 1, 7. And then we're going to jump straight to letter D.
How do you find the degrees of freedom?
So in order to find our degrees of freedom, since we're going to look at our formula, n minus 1, we're going to look at our sample, and we're going to count how many we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to minus that by 1, which brings us to 7. And that's how we find our degrees of freedom. Okay. So letter D, what is the critical value? So in order to find our critical value, we are going to look at our confidence level, which in the problem it says we have a 99%. And then we're going to look at our degrees of freedom, minus 1, which is 7. Okay, and then so in order to get our confidence level number over here, T, we're going to look at our chart. So this chart is very helpful. We're going to look at our confidence level percent, so which is 99% from our problem, and then we're going to look at our degrees of freedom, 7, which right here we have 3.499. Okay, and then our next step is to find the margin of error for the confidence interval. So we are going to do the margin of error formula, which is E equals to S over N. Okay, so we found our first part, which is going to be 3.499. Our standard deviation, which is 28.693, over our sample, which was 8, square root of 8. And then we're going to type that all into our calculator. First, we want to clear out this. So we're going to do 3.499 times, we're going to do alpha y, we're going to do 28.693 over the square root of 8. Enter, and that is how we get our margin of error. It's going to be 35.496. Okay, now we're going to just jump straight into letter F. What is a confidence interval? So this is where we look back at our chart and we go to the next step, which is x bar minus b and x bar plus b. So we already have our mean, which is going to be 54.875 minus our E, I believe, yes, minus our margin of error, which is 35.496. So we want to make sure we do the subtraction first, and then we're going to do the addition. Plus 35.496. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do that in our calculator. We want to be careful with inputting these big numbers. Minus 35.496. Okay, and that's going to be 19.379. I don't have room over here, but I'm going to write it to the side. 19.379. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to add 54.875 plus 35.496. And we get a, oh wait, I did something wrong. Okay. Then we cut that 54.875 plus 35.496. We want to be careful when we put these numbers in. There we go. 1 second. 35.496. Well, that's correct.
469.
Oh, 496. 469. Okay, let's do that again. 496. See? Okay. Thank you. And that's gonna be 90.371. All right. So, and since we're talking about money here in terms of textbooks, we are going to narrow this down to $19.38 and 90 and 37. Okay. Now that we have our confidence interval, these numbers, last letter, interpret the confidence interval in the context of the problem. So this is where we get our numbers and we conclude our claim over here. So we are going to write it out. We are 99% confident that the mean price, since we're talking about price of textbooks, sold is between $19.38 and $90.37. And that is how you conclude your problem of this context.